Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. And if you're not, thanks for returning. I appreciate it. Last time I finished a look at Elvis in 1969 across several parts. And towards the end, I realised that I had a few bits and pieces that talk about Elvis in 69 and 70, so they're not so specific to one year or another. So this episode, I just want to look at a couple of things that kind of almost bridge the 60s into the 70s. I appreciate that there's going to be some overlap. I'm going to be showing things that go into the 70s. Anything that talks about the 70s inevitably ends up talking about That's the Way It Is, but That's the Way It Is going to be a whole separate episode, maybe two episodes in a few weeks time. So this is a sort of an in-betweeny. We're in an in-betweeny territory here, as I say, bridging the gap between the end of one decade and the start of another. So yeah, that's what I thought I'd do with this one. So let's start with this. Now, I don't think I've talked about the Memphis Recording Service before. It's been featured on plenty of other channels, but you know, the Memphis Recording Service is a fantastic little label. The quality of the product it puts out is absolutely superlative. It really is fantastic. And the beauty of MRS is that it's widely available. The stuff they put out is technically grey market imports. I've spoken about these before. So what that means is that in the copyright in Europe is slightly different to elsewhere in the world, and it means that once recordings are past a certain date, they become public domain, so they can be released absolutely legitimately. But what MRS do, they go an extra mile. Usually they're superbly remixed. They'll often take recordings that are mono only, turn them into a stereo recording with fancy technology and what have you. The quality of their recordings sounds fantastic. The quality of their presentation is brilliant. And above all else, you can pick them up on Amazon. You can walk into any mainstream chain record store and you'll see MRS recordings on the shelf. So they're well priced. Quite often, in recent times, they've been covering shows and bits and pieces of live performances that have already been out on the FTD label. But, you know, because time has passed and they're now in the public domain, MRS are able to release them. Quite often they'll clean them up to even better sound quality than FTD had. So it means that you're getting material that you probably would struggle to get at a reasonable price because, as we know, FTD goes through the roof once it's been and gone. But you can pick these up, you know, really, really reasonably. So I can't praise MRS high enough. Now, I've got a little message for fellow Elvis fans, and that message is do not let yourself be ripped off. Shop around. The reason I say that is, as I record this, yesterday was the official release of MRS's latest title, which is Elvis Las Vegas 1973. 4 CD box set. Now, that came out officially. The official release date was yesterday, and I got it in the post yesterday. And I paid $31.95 with free postage, £31.95 free postage for a 4 CD box set. Fantastic material. Now, what MRS tend to do is before they release to the mainstream market, your likes of Amazon and wherever you, they send them out to dealers, specific Elvis dealers, a couple of weeks prior to that. But I happened to see a YouTube video about a week or so ago of a chap that had got hold of his copy of this Las Vegas 1973 release, and he was showing it, but he was saying that he bought it off eBay and he paid £55 plus postage for it, and I was just gobsmacked. I thought, no, surely that must be wrong. So I went on eBay and had a look, and sure enough, it is listed on there for, I think it's $54.95 plus, I think it was $5.95 postage. Best part is £60. and I paid $31.95, nearly half the price. So Elvis fans, you've got to shop around, because when it comes to Elvis product, people see dollar signs, and if they can get away with charging it, they will. Now, you've got to ask yourself, is it worth paying double the price to get your hands on something a week, maybe 2 weeks sooner? Of course it isn't. That extra £30, you could have got yourself another Elvis CD, another vinyl album, whatever, a book. You know, just don't line people's pockets that are just there to profiteer, because it's just not worth it. Shop around and you'll find there's better prices usually. Anyway, there's my rant over, but you know, I felt it was worth saying, because I do think that some people just see it, order it, or they might have a specific dealer or seller or whatever that they always buy off, and feel some kind of loyalty to that. I don't know, but it's not worth paying through the nose when you can get it cheaper. You know, these aren't exactly the most financially stable of times, so if you can save a bit of money, why not? Anywho, let's have a look at this. So what we've got here, it's called International Presents Elvis, the First Engagements 1969 and 1970. So it takes the 69 return season in Vegas, and I think it looks at one of the early shows there. What one have we got? Exact recording date unknown, likely to be early to mid-August 1969. So yeah, they've got themselves hold of a tape there, and they're not entirely sure of the date. And then you get 2 CDs where you get the opening show of the next season, which is 26th of January 1970, and then you get the closing show of that second season, which is the 23rd of February 1970. And you also get a few bonus tracks here from the 19th of February 70 dinner show, which is nice. So yeah, you get a full 69 show and 2 shows from 70. So nicely presented, a little hardback. This is the way MRS have gone recently. Their early titles used to be sort of like little books. They were like little mini books. But in recent years, they've gone with these more compact little hardback affairs. Still nice quality. Probably not getting quite the luxury of the booklets that you once got, but they still, you know, they still really go all out to give you a absolutely top quality product, packed with information, various artifacts and bits and pieces from the time, selected great photographs. As I say, this, you know, most of them, some of the titles do go out of print, but I think they're produced in such numbers that you can still find them. You can still find them on Amazon and sites such as that. In fact, if you're in the UK, there's a couple of sites I would like to recommend for getting hold of stuff like this at pretty good prices, and that's Speedy Hen and Punk to Funk Heaven. Both of those I've had stuff from, really swift delivery, really well packaged, and very, very keenly priced. So don't always assume that your best route is to Amazon, because, as we all know, it isn't. So now we're moving into the 1970 season. And as I said, inevitably there's going to be overlap when we start looking into 1970 next week onwards. But I kind of go back to what I said about 1969. You can't get enough of Elvis in this period. You know, I don't care if I see these photographs millions of times. He just looked absolutely at his fantastic best. A few Candid in there as well. See all this for a little CD set, and you're getting all this. Fabulous. Can't praise MRS highly enough. Love what they do. And there's your final discs. Here's your track lists. Fantastic. International presents Elvis. Brilliant. Okay, books. Now I'm going to show you one of the Elvis Files books. Now, these have been talked about on a lot of different people's channels. I think most of them have been shown in one form or another at one point. What can I say about the Elvis Files books? There's 8 volumes, starting right at the very beginning of Elvis's life and then career, and right through to the end of his life. They are fantastic quality. They are packed full of the most glorious information, contemporary articles, reviews. If you've seen, there's a book by Ernst Jorgensen and Peter Guralnick called Elvis Day by Day, and that wasn't the only book that was released, giving a sort of almost a diary chronology of Elvis and his life on a day-by-day basis of what was known. There is one by Patricia Joe Pierce, I think, The Ultimate Elvis. That was called Elvis Day by Day. There was one by Lee Cotton called Elvis All Shook Up Day by Day. So it's something that several authors over the years have attempted to show a sort of what Elvis did and got up to pretty much every day of his life that's documented, at least. And probably in a later episode I might sort of gather some of the other ones together. But the Elvis Files does it in a better way, in a more stylish way, in a more comprehensive way than anybody. They are fairly difficult to get hold of. This one isn't so bad. This one turns up. People tend to make the mistake with the Elvis Files of thinking the very early one, the earliest ones are going to be the hardest to find. Actually, they weren't published in order. Number 2 and number 3 were the first ones published in 2010. Number 1 didn't follow until 3 years after that. So 1 is actually easier to get hold of than 2 or 3, conversely enough. But yeah, these are fantastic. I'm going to give you a little flavour of these. As ever, I'm going to whip the dust jacket off just so it doesn't get damaged or creased, because they can tend to. And let's have a look what's on offer. I mean, there we go. Starting in fabulous shots of 69. But I'm not going to show you every page. You know that I don't show you every page, but I'll show you as much as I can. So we start off right at the beginning of 1969 with the American Sound Studio sessions. And these do quite often pull out quite a lot of rare photographs. I mean, just those ones there from the Flamingo Hotel, Las Vegas. Certainly new to my eyes when I first saw it. Familiar shots of the staged contract signing at the International. Get a bit of change of habit. Familiar photos, but great photos, some of them. Brilliant candids. Has anyone seen any of my earlier episodes know that I love an Elvis candid. More change of habit, more candids. Say that there are some things that are sort of recognised as the very pinnacle of what they do, and I think most people acknowledge that these Elvis Files books are just in a league of their own. They really are. More change of habit. I'm going to show you as many candies as I can. I can't get enough of an Elvis candid. And look at, what you see with these is just how generous he was with his time, just how much he appreciated and loved his fans, and always made the time to spend as much time as he was able to with them, which I think speaks volumes of him. There was no airs and graces, there was no ego with this man. He was just one hell of a genuine human being. I think that's one of the reasons why so much of us love him the way we do. So, yeah, more change of habit. Oh, that's I don't think it points it out, but I know another book points out that he had a coleslaw going on there. You can see in one of the bottom shots, he's trying to sort of cover it up. You can just see it on the side of his mouth there. See, he was human. He wasn't a perfect godlike figure that some of us would like to think. He was as human as the rest of us. Bless him. On vacation in Hawaii, what we got? Just look at the amount of shots of him just spending time with people, making them feel $1 million. Just fantastic. Wow, I hadn't quite realised there's as many candidates as there are in this, which in some ways is good, because I don't really want to go too much in detail into the pictures and the stories around 1970 if I can avoid it, because we're going to be moving on to that shortly in the next few weeks. Just fabulous. Where are we? We're still only in June, look. Squeaky pages, as ever. I think that what this volume of books does that certainly the Jorgensen and the Guralnick, which is probably the kind of the next down in terms of benchmarks for what this is doing. This is just richly illustrated, and you get lots of bits and pieces and articles from the time that doesn't do as much. The Jorgensen Guralnick book is kind of more, it almost feels like a day-by-day encyclopedia more than this. But then again, you know, I suppose in some ways you can that's just a one volume book that you can just pick up and reference, whereas, you know, you can see the size of this. This is one of the bigger ones, but they're all pretty hefty, and that's 8 volumes, so it's probably not what you call a handy reference, shall we say, but superb nevertheless. Absolutely superb. Just fantastic. Right, there we go. Okay. Yeah, great stuff. I won't show too much of all the fabulous 69 on stage shots, because they were kind of featured in the last time I looked at the books that were specific about the 69, and again the press conference, we've seen these, great as they are. I love that one. That is such a cool shot. Such a cool shot. I may or may not have mentioned that I stood next to that Gretsch country gentleman and that outfit, banging on and boring everybody to tears. Right, 69, 69. Oh, here we go. Let's get to some more candids. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think, if I remember rightly, this was the first one of the Elvis Files book I actually got my hand on. And I think if I remember rightly, someone had it and was advertising it as the cheapest on eBay. I think I paid £45 for this one delivered, which I suppose in retrospect was a really good price. but you can still pick this up, and I've seen it go for, it probably goes for the high 50s, £60 mark these days, but you can pick it up. This one and 71 to 73 I think are probably the easiest ones to get. The most difficult are volumes 2, 3 and 4. Volume 2 and 3 especially are pretty hard to get your hands on. And I will get round to showing those, but I didn't want to sort of, I didn't really want to do a just dedicated to the Elvis files and bombard everyone with picture after picture, because I don't think my arms would have stood up to it, because they're pretty heavy. Just fantastic. Look, we're still sort of halfway through the book, and we're still in 1969. Look, there's Elvis, December 21st, 1969. So right at the end, wearing a rather nice black velvet number. I love that photograph of him and Priscilla as well. Really nice. So then we move, I should think, once we know, we're still, yeah, we're in January 1970. There we are, some nice candids there. Giving someone their pen back by the look of it. RCA Studio, Hollywood, California. And then we move into the second season in Las Vegas. January 26th to February the 23rd. I won't go into too much in showing these, because I'm going to do a pretty much a whole episode on that season. So I'll just give you a few little bits and pieces. Yeah, you can see a real, there's a shift. It's some, and I think I've said this before, he's in this season, he's somewhere between the 69 season and the third season that will be filmed for That's the Way It Is. It almost feels like a sort of transition between the two. And that's interesting. Look, so we've got him February the 20th, International Hotel, Las Vegas, and he's wearing there the sort of bolero western jacket that we'd see at the press conference for the Houston Astrodome. Further down the line, which, there we go, there's the Astrodome there, which I covered a few episodes back. But yeah, there you go, there's the outfit I was talking about. So obviously gave that a bit of a test run. He was sort of backstage in Vegas beforehand. So we've got some candids that may have been in one of the other books. June 1970 candids. July. Just awesome, just awesome. And then we kind of get into the second season in Vegas, which is the third season, second season in 1970, which is That's the Way It Is territory. So I won't go too much into that, but you get a feel for what this fabulous volume of the Elvis files gives you. Just perfect. So yeah, highly recommend the Elvis Files series, and in particular, for me, my favourite years, 69 to 70. Perfect. Now I want to introduce you to Kieran Davis's books. I haven't seen Kieran's books featured on many channels, and And that's a shame, really, because his books are fantastic. Every single one of his books is an absolute gem. This is a 50th anniversary edition of Elvis Live at the International. This did come out previously in a smaller volume, but when this 50th anniversary edition was published, you got over 250 extra pages. So you can pick up the other one still, but I'd recommend this is the one you go for. It's more expensive, but worth every penny. I pre-ordered this one and Kieran was kind enough to sign it for me, but what you get, the layout of his books and the level of detail and artifacts, and it's second to none. I absolutely love Kieran Davis's books, and I would highly recommend that anyone who hasn't encountered them and has the chance to pick some up does themselves a real favour and picks them up, because you just, they're so dense with information, packed. Every page, you know, you just don't know where to look next, and you just dive into these and spend just hour upon hour. They're right up there with some of the very, very best books that you can get, not just on a particular period, but on Elvis in general. I can't, you know, you get all sorts of extracts and media articles from the time. Just fabulous. And as I say, this is well over double the size of the original version of this that was put out. So yeah, just brilliant. In some ways they have, I don't want to sort of put them down by saying a scrapbook. I mean that in a complimentary way, but the way they're put together, the way that each page is just packed with bits and pieces, you know, pictures of the jumpsuits that were worn. Just the level of detail. I cannot praise these highly enough. Hopefully he's working on some new ones, because there are periods that he hasn't covered, and I'd like to see him cover them all. I've got pretty much all of his books bar one, I think. So I will be featuring those in sort of later episodes when they're relevant to the time period that I may be looking at. But yeah, I'll share what I can of his books, because they're certainly worth it. Just fantastic. Just the way they're laid out, the detail, the research. Fantastic. So yeah, if you can pick up anything by Kieran Davis, yeah, I'd say go for it. If you see them out there, get them. Just brilliant. And this particular 50th anniversary issue weighs in at just over the 432 pages. Each one absolutely engrossing. So yeah, Kieran Davis, what a fantastic Elvis author. Live at the International, just fantastic. So there's our in-betweeny part, if you like, 69 to 70. Well, I hope that was enjoyable. If it was, please do click on the like, and if you haven't already, please do click on the subscribe. It costs absolutely nothing and there's no commitment involved. I upload new content every Saturday at 6 p.m. GMT, so you'll always know where to find me. Next time, we'll be moving on to a whole new decade, Elvis in the 70s. Till then, take care. Ta-da!
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.